Thank you for coming back from the break. Let's get started. The last session. Here we are. With the opening of the floodgates of psychedelic research comes a steady stream of less immediately obvious applications. I'm guessing I'm not the only one who never considered giving Iboga to Parkinson's patients. Tobias Erny is a writer, researcher, consultant, and director of the Global Iboga Therapy Alliance, a non-profit that promotes Iboga's sacramental and therapeutic benefits. He is also an initiated of the Disumbafang Iboga-using tradition of Bwiti. Here today to report on his work treating Parkinson's with Iboga, please welcome Tobias Erny.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. In the last 2 days we have heard Brian, Juliana, Bruno and other esteemed colleagues talk about Iboga and its enormous potential to heal, to treat substance use disorders. In Western Equatorial Africa, its endemic home, it is not used for that. For the tribes, it's a comprehensive sacred medicine, a treasure, and a tool to connect with the spiritual worlds with a wide scope of possible applications. Bwiti initiations are super potent catalysts for healing due to their profound quality of transmitting deep psychospiritual insights, as well as their ability to neuropharmacologically restructure the brain, which is very interesting for us. But traditionally, these initiations are very high-dosed, very intense, potentially lethal, several days lasting near-death experiences. This is utmost interesting for pharmacological base jumpers. However, it might not be the first choice for Parkinson patients who are generally older and are looking for soothing. So we looked into ways of making Iboga and Ibogaine more accessible to a broader audience using smaller doses. Also deeply inspired by the wisdom of the tribes who use small doses and medium doses to gain energy, to heal, to strengthen, and to sharpen the consciousness. These low-dose regimes can help to treat a multitude of different pathologies. So you might wonder why we specifically started treating Parkinson's disease. Shortly after the millennium, people started to become increasingly interested in neurotrophic growth factors. Amongst others, GDNF, clear cell line-derived neurotrophic factor. GDNF has been shown to increase growth, survival, functioning, and sprouting of dopamine neurons in animal models and in human trials. This is particularly interesting for Parkinson's disease because dysfunctioning of dopamine neurons and loss of dopamine neurons are the cardinal pathophysiological processes underlying Parkinson's disease. So just 1 year after this paper here was published, the following paper was published. This paper indicates that Ibogaine stimulates the production of GDNF in the brain globally when taken orally. This sparked more research interest, and subsequently, the first trial with a Parkinson patient started. He would be later known as patient D. Dean's outcomes were very promising, and he continued taking Ibogaine daily for the last 8 years of his life. But then some 6 years ago, this paper here was published by a team from Montevideo around Ignacio Carrera. To cut a long story short, there were 2 dose regimes that they tested on rats, 20 milligrams per kilogram of body weight and 40 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. These results do show an increase of GDNF, but only for 40 milligrams per kilogram of body weight, not for 20. To put this in perspective, 20 milligrams per kilogram of body weight is already a seriously high dose of Iboga. Much too high for a Parkinson patient to tolerate. 40 milligrams per kilogram of body weight could very likely become an actual death experience, not just a controlled near death to explore the outskirts of infinity. It's definitely something not to put a Parkinson patient through, not to put anybody through. So we do have good results with relatively small doses, even way lower than the not GDNF stimulating 20 milligrams per kilogram of body weight. So we need other models to explain the positive effects of Ibogaine on Parkinson patients. One option could be the pharmacochaperoning of the dopamine transporter by Ibogaine. According to this study, pharmacological chaperones of the dopamine transporter can be used to rescue misfolded proteins. And Ibogaine, its metabolite nor-ibogaine, as well as some synthetic congeners, act as pharmacochaperones specifically for the folding deficient dopamine transporter mutant proteins, which give rise to Parkinsonism. There are some other possible mechanisms of action that we describe in a soon-to-be published paper, but since it's not published yet, I can't spoil too much. But over the last years, we treated and followed a number of Parkinson patients, and we were able to assess some of them with clinical instruments. Some people seem to respond really good, some people don't respond at all. We assume that the different causes for Parkinsonism play a role in this. For example, their genetic dispositions or environmental toxins or heavy metal poisonings or careers in boxing. There are many potential causes for Parkinsonism. But to give you an idea about the measured improvements, here we see the before and after assessments of one of our patients who has undergone a 4-month treatment plan. The first column to the left is the UPDRS, it's the Unified Parkinson's Disease Rating Scale, which includes assessment of mentation, behavior, mood, activities of daily living, motor examination, dyskinesias, clinical fluctuations, and other complications. And here we had a decrease of symptoms by 50%. Next column is the PDQ-39. It's a questionnaire which assesses the subjective quality of life. Also here, we had a decrease of 50%, roughly, in her symptoms. And in the middle, it's the Parkinson's disease sleep scale. It's quantifying the levels of sleep disruption. So this is the only scale where the symptoms worsened. But we now know how to mitigate this with another treatment protocol. Then the PFS is the Parkinson's disease fatigue scale, which measures the impact of daily functioning or of the fatigue on daily functioning. Also here, we had a decrease of 50% roughly. And then the last is the Beck's Depression Inventory, a widely known psychometric test for measuring the severity of depression. Also here, the patient went down for roughly 50%. The here assessed client had off phases, so-called freezes, for about 8 hours per day, meaning she could barely move for a third of her day. After the treatment, we got her down to about half an hour per day. But so far, I only mentioned the positive effects of Ibogaine on the dopamine metabolism. But we think there must be much more to it. As I mentioned before, traditionally the tribes use smaller doses to gain energy, to strengthen, to heal, and to sharpen the senses, and also to brighten their mood. So those observations are somewhat confirmed and endorsed by Ibogaine's compellant and very broad neuropharmacological spectrum. For example, Ibogaine and even more its metabolite, nor-ibogaine, act as SSRI, a selective serotonin reuptake inhibitor, and by this brightening the mood. Furthermore, according to these studies of Roman Pascolin and his team, Ibogaine improves the energetic metabolism of erythrocytes and has pro-antioxidative effects by stimulating the body's own defense mechanism against oxidative stress and thus saving energy, which then can be used elsewhere. To give you an example how this might play out in real life, one of our patients was very depressed and very phlegmatic, very lethargic. And with Ibogaine, he started to become more happy. Somehow his motivation came back, his energy level rose, which led to subsequently him going to the park and doing daily Tai Chi. And the daily Tai Chi then led to him walking more erect, and his arms started swinging again. So this example somehow shows how the multitude of interrelated effects of Ibogaine help from different angles to treat or to alleviate the symptoms of Parkinson's disease. To visualize this, I want to show a short video of one of our best case scenarios. He was basically, he tried to commit suicide. Everything that medicine could have done, conventional medicine, has been done. This is him after deep brain stimulation. So the last resort, what could have been done. So he is not able to live by himself, and after a failed suicide attempt, he filed for euthanasia, which is legal in his home country. And then his partner pointed him to Iboga, and now you will see a short break, and then you see him after 6 to 8 weeks of Iboga treatment.
Oké. Ja, dan ga ik de rest redden.
So he even gained weight and he rode a bike again, which is a tremendous improvement. But this is one of our best case scenarios. And however, I mentioned that there are also about 40 to 50% of people who don't respond. And so one of the first things I tell people when I start working with them is that Iboga is not guaranteed to produce any results. Also, we sometimes achieve these outstanding results. Raising false hopes is absolutely not beneficial to anyone, so I need to emphasize this as well. We hope to conduct a placebo-controlled, double-blinded crossover study soon. Depending on the availability of funding, we consider conducting a multi-site study to increase the sample size. Thank you very much. Passez.
Thank you very much.